Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to study the 8th chapter from Operations and Strategic Management, that is Introduction to Strategy and Strategic Management. First, let's see what is a strategy. So strategy is a set of goal-directed actions a firm takes to gain and sustain superior performance relative to the competitors. So this is a set of actions taken to compete with the competitors. So a good strategy enables a firm to achieve superior performance, and it has three elements. A diagnosis of the competitive challenge, that means this element describes why a firm has a performance gap. The second one is a guiding policy to address the competitive challenge. This element is an overall approach to overcome the obstacles highlighted in the diagnosis. Then a set of coherent actions to implement the firm's guiding policy. Now we will move on to the next topic, that is what all things to achieve competitive advantage. So a firm's competitive advantage is always relative and not absolute. That is, you are not good or bad on your own. You are better or worse compared to someone else. So how can we assess this? We compare the firm's performance to a benchmark. That benchmark is either the performance of other firms in the same industry or the industry average. So the key to successful strategy is to combine a set of activities to stake out a unique strategic position within an industry. Competitive advantage has to come from performing different activities or performing the same activities differently than rivals are doing. Then the strategy is not just for top management. So now who makes strategy? Strategy is not just the preserve of top management. Middle and lower managers have to work within their organization's strategy, meeting the objectives set by the strategy and observing the constraints. Also, the managers has to communicate strategy to their teams and will achieve greater performance from them the better they do. Then, with new models like bottom-up emergent strategy or strategy from everyone becoming more influential, middle and lower level managers can increasingly play a part in shaping strategy. So, the next topic is what is a strategy? So, the word strategy is derived from the Greek word strategia, meaning generalship. So, the concept has its origin from the classic The Art of War, which was written by Sun Tzu about 500 BC, and this is regarded as the first methodical documentation on strategy. So the sole objective of strategy is to provide competitive advantage. As simple as that. Now let's see a more formal definition. So strategy may be defined as the direction and scope of an organization over the long term, which achieves advantage for the organization through the configuration of resources within a changing environment and to fulfill stakeholder expectations. Now let's see the strategy in two ways. So strategies can be seen as matching the resources and activities to the environment in which it operates, as well as can be seen as stretching an organization's resources and competences to create new opportunities or to capitalize on them. So strategies may require major resource changes for an organization. It's not always small tweaks. Now let's see the characteristics of a strategy. So because of what strategy is, strategic decisions have certain consequences. So the strategic decisions are likely to be complex in nature. Also, they are likely to be made in situations of uncertainties, likely to demand an integrated approach. You can't look at just one department. Then, to manage change relationships and networks outside the organizations, and the strategic decisions will very often involve change in the organization. So, strategy is about choices, the trade offs, and positioning to beat competitors over the long run, and everyone in the organization has a role. Now, let's study types of strategy. So there are three types of strategy. First one is corporate strategy. So this is concerned with the overall purpose and scope of the organization and how value will be added to different parts like business units and product lines of the organization. So these strategies typically fit within the three main categories of stability, growth and retrenchment. So kindly remember these words. This might come as an MCQ. So what are the decisions that happen here? The decisions include like investment in diversification or vertical integration or the acquisitions or the new ventures. All these are discussed here. The second type is business unit strategy. So it is about how to compete successfully in particular markets. It emphasizes improvement of the competitive position of an organization's product or service in the specified industry or market segment served by this business unit. So these strategies fit within the two overall categories, namely competitive and cooperative strategy. The third one is functional or operational level strategy. The functional or operational level strategy is concerned with how the component parts of an organization deliver effectively the corporate and business level strategies in terms of resources, processes, and people. So, this is concerned with developing and nurturing competence to provide a business unit with a competitive advantage. Now let's move on to the next topic, that is red ocean strategy versus blue ocean strategy. The red ocean means the crowded, the bloody waters where all firms fight for the same customers. So here all the firms fight for the same customers. So the competition is brutal. Then blue ocean means calm, clear waters with no competition. You create new demand and make rivals irrelevant. So the red ocean market compete in existing market space, whereas the blue ocean create uncontested marketplace. Then the competition means the red ocean beat the competition as well as the blue ocean make the competition irrelevant. Then the demand is that in case of red ocean it is exploiting existing demand, as well as the blue ocean create and capture new demand. Red ocean focuses on current customers and blue ocean focuses on non-customers. Now let's move on to the next topic, that is strategic management. So strategic management refers to a set of managerial decisions and actions that determines the long-term performance of an organization. So this is originally called corporate planning. The shift from corporate planning to what become termed as strategic management was associated with the increasing focus on competition as the central characteristics of the business environment and competitive advantage as the primary goal of strategy. So the strategic management consists of four basic elements: environmental scanning, strategy formulation, strategy implementation, evaluation and control. Let's see each one of them in detail. The first one is environmental scanning. This refers to monitoring, evaluating and disseminating of information from external and internal environments to keep people within the organization. So the purpose is to identify the strategic factors between both internal and external elements that will shape the future of the organization, and this is your SWOT work. The second element is strategy formulation. So this refers to the development of long range plans for the effective management of environmental opportunities and threats in the light of corporate strength and weaknesses. So this includes defining the mission, setting objectives, developing the strategies, setting the policy guidelines, etc. And this is making the plan. The third element is strategy implementation. So it is the process by which strategies and policies are put into practice through the development of programs, budget and procedures. So this includes the day-to-day operations or decisions in resource allocation and is typically conducted by the middle and lower level managers with review by the top management, and this is doing the work. So strategy formulation is known as making the plan and strategy implementation is known as doing the work. Then the fourth element or the last element of strategic management is evaluation and control. So, this involves a process through which organizational activities and performances are monitored. So, the actual performances are compared to the desired performances and corrective actions are taken to resolve the problems. So, this is checking if it worked. Now, let's move on to the second subchapter, that is alignment of strategy with vision, mission, and culture. So, vision is all about where are we going. So, vision is the desired future state of an organization. Now, let's see the benefits of having a vision. As mentioned by Azhar 2008, organizations have a good vision enjoys the following benefits. So, good visions are inspiring and exhilarating. Also, vision represents a discontinuity, a step function, and a jump ahead so that the company knows what it is to be. And good vision helps in the creation of a common identity and a shared sense of purpose. Also, good visions are competitive, original, and unique. They make sense in the marketplace as they are practical. Then the good visions foster long-term thinking as well as visions are customer oriented. So the internal stakeholders are invested in defining the vision and the organizational structure such as compensation systems align with the firm's vision statement. The next one is mission. This is all about why do we exist today. So if vision is the future, mission is the present. So this describes the purpose and its present business. So a well conceived mission statement defines the fundamental unique purpose that sets a company apart from other firms or its types and identifies the scope or domain of the company's operations in terms of products offered. Now let's move on to our next topic, that is organizational culture, the invisible hand. So now the part most companies ignore but it shapes everything, the culture. So the organizational culture is the basic assumptions and beliefs that are shared by members of an organization that operate unconsciously and define in basic taken for granted fashion an organization's view of itself and its environment. So, related to this are taken for granted ways of doing things, the routines that accumulate over time. In other words, the culture is about that which is taken for granted but nonetheless contributes to how groups of people respond and behave in relation to issues they face. Now, let's see the four layers of culture. The first one is value. The values of company state how managers and employees should conduct themselves. Then beliefs. So beliefs are more specific, but again they can typically be discerned in how people talk about issues the organization faces. Then with regard to both values and beliefs, it is important to remember that in relation to culture, the concern is with the collective rather than the individuals. The third one are behaviors. So, behaviors are the day to day way in which an organization operates and can be seen by people both inside and outside the organization. And the last one is taken for granted assumptions. So, they are the aspects of organizational life which people find difficult to identify and explain. So, these are the elements of organizational culture. Now let's move on to the next topic, that is ethical behavior. So to foster ethical behavior, businesses must build an organization culture that places a high value on ethical behavior. So three actions are particularly important. Firstly, the business must explicitly articulate values that place a strong emphasis on ethical behavior. Then, having articulated values in a code of ethics or some other document, it is important that leaders in the business give life and meaning to those words by repeatedly emphasizing their importance and then acting on them. Then finally, Building an organization culture that places a high value on ethical behavior requires incentive and reward systems, including promotional systems that regard people who engage in ethical behavior and sanction those who do not. So, ethical behavior is known as doing the right thing at work. So, how should we behave when no one is watching is what exactly meant by the ethical behavior. So, to make sure people in a company do the right thing, you need three steps. So, first one is explicitly articulate values. That means say it clearly. So, we must write down the rules or and make them clear. Then the second one is leaders must walk the talk. That is, bosses must do it too. So the manager, the CEO, the team leader, all of them must follow the same rules. Then the last one is about the reward. So reward ethics and punish the violation. So give prizes or praise to honest people. So these are the steps of ethical behavior. Now let's move on to the next topic, that is goals. So goals are well constructed and this helps the organization to accomplish in future. So these represent the future state of outcome of effort put in now. So the close-ended attributes which are precise and expressed in specific terms. So these are known as goals. Now let's move on to the next topic, that is objectives. So the objectives form the basis of the functioning of an organization. So it is the setting of the strategic objectives that the vision is translated into a specific performance target. So the object must possess certain characteristics. So the first one is specific. The first step towards setting objectives is to specify what the company wants to achieve. And this involves answer to a certain question, that is what the organization wants to achieve. So this more likely to lead and motivate the managers. Then second one is understandable. So the objects should be such that they are understandable to those who are expected to achieve them. So clarity in objectives helps to avoid ambiguity, which in turn helps to achieve the desired results. The third one is attainable. So objectives must be challenging but realistic or attainable. They give all employees an incentive to look for ways of improving the operations of an organization. Fourth one is related. The objectives should be such that they are congruent with the vision and mission of the organization. The fifth one is time bound. An objective that fails to specify the time period within which it will be achieved is not a well-framed objective. Now we'll move on to the next topic, that is the issues you must consider while setting objectives. Okay, the first one is specificity. So specificity is related to the organizational level for which a set of objectives have been stated. So the objectives may be stated at different levels of specificity. So this may be resolved by stating specificity at different levels of the organization and prefixing the terms such as corporate, general and particular so that they serve the needs of performance and its evaluation. The second one is multiplicity. So this arises from the fact that it is rare for an organization to work on a single objective or a few objectives. So since objectives deal with a large number of functional areas, a large number of them have to be formulated to cover the diverse aspects of the organization's functioning. So it may be mentioned that neither too few nor too many objectives are considered realistic. The third is periodicity. So objectives may be set for different time frame. It is possible to set long term, medium term and short term. Next is verifiability. So the issue of verifiability revolves around the question of deciding whether an objective has been met or not. So moreover, linked to verifiability is the concept of quantification. So if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. The fifth one is reality. It is often found that organizations have two sets of objectives, namely official and operative. While the official objectives are those which the organization professes to attain, the operative objectives are those which they seek to attain in reality. The sixth one is, and the last one is quality. So the capability of an objective to provide a specific direction and the tangible basis for evaluating performance determines the quality of an objective. Now let's move on to the third subchapter, that is objectives of strategic management. The first one is to identify opportunities and adapt resources to exploit the opportunities created. So in simple terms, you have to find chances in the market and use your money, people and machines to grab them. The second one is to create opportunities by stretching the resources and competences of the organization and capitalize them. So that is, you don't just wait for the chances. Push your team to make new chances using what you already have. Third is to help managers to understand the key relationships among actions, context, and performance by providing the conceptual frameworks. That is, give managers a map to see how their decisions and market situations and thereby the results to evaluate. Then the fourth one is to help an organization enjoy competitive advantage. So main job is to make sure your company wins against the rivals. The fifth one is to sustain and improve the competitive position by the deployment and acquisition of appropriate resources and by monitoring and responding to environmental changes. So keep your lead, buy the right resources and change fast when the world changes. The sixth is to monitor and remain responsive to the demands of key stakeholders. So keep watching what customers, employees, investors and the government want. Don't ignore them. The seventh point is to identify the critical success factors and meet the needs and wants of the customers. So find the 2 to 3 things that must go right to win the customers and do those really well. The eighth is to avoid failure by focusing on the building blocks of competitive advantage, instituting continuous improvement and learning, tracking the best industrial practices, and using benchmarking. So that is, don't fail, keep getting better by building blocks, that is, be more efficient, better quality, and more innovative, as well as more responsive than rivals. And the continuous improvement like Kaizen, daily fixing small fixes. Also, benchmarking means copy the best practices. And the last one is to overcome inertia and accept the changes in the ever-changing environment to remain competitive and at the time to survive, and to develop a creative and innovative attitude and to think strategically. So here we conclude the class. We'll be coming up with the part 2 in the next video. Until then, keep learning and keep growing. Thank you.